my gosh, this episode is so incredible. Megan Renihan, I honestly could talk to her all day long. She is so inspirational. She is going to give you so many ideas. We're specifically talking about advertising today. It's something maybe you're not thinking about, but it's summer right now. So it's time to think about things differently. I'm talking for not a lot of money, you can make a big, big, big impact with some digital advertising. Megan has a lot of great ideas. You're going to want to check out the show notes because we have linked to a lot of examples. And then, by the way, their school was on the Kelly Clarkson Show. I mean, they went viral for some big things that they're doing with solar panels and giving back to teacher salaries, which is amazing. Listen to all the things. We'll quickly do a quick K-12 PR tip, and then we're going to get right into the interview with Megan. Hang on. All right, today's K-12 PR tip is all about repurposing content. You guys, you only have so many hours in the day. And I know it's summer right now if you're listening to this when it goes live. So you've got a little more time than usual, but your time is precious. So when you create something, think about how you can utilize it with your website, with social media, in any other ways, with digital advertising, like we're going to talk about today. You can really repurpose things in a lot of different ways, including podcasting, like you're listening today. It doesn't necessarily mean creating a new show. It might just mean taking something like Megan shares, a radio interview, and transferring that into a podcast, which has now, for her, has over 58,000 downloads. That's amazing. So I know your time is precious. We need to think about repurposing content, being able to use things in many different ways. And also, don't forget that just because you've shared it once doesn't mean that you shouldn't share it a second or third time. No, we don't want to post the same video 3 days in a row on your social media. However, if you created a really great video, what about posting that once a month? It doesn't get old that fast. If it's something that's evergreen that can be shared, don't forget to republish that content more. So that's my little tip for today. Now your head's probably going to explode with ideas and excitement and inspiration from Megan. I can't wait for you to meet her. So let's get started. Good morning, Megan. Welcome to the podcast.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I got to see you in person in Arkansas just a few months ago. We've got Megan Renihan, and she is the communications coordinator for Batesville School District. So why don't you introduce yourself, kind of share your background and how you got into school communications?
Absolutely. So I graduated from high school in 2010 and pursued a degree in broadcast journalism at Arkansas State University. You can see my little pennant up there. So I got my degree there, graduated in 2016. I took a couple of years off in between. And while I was in college, though, I had some amazing opportunities to do, work at Region 8 News. And I was an associate producer there. And then I was a sports reporter for our school district, for our school's news station. And then I also was an intern for the Sun Belt tournament. And that gave me an opportunity to do great features on some of our athletes at A-State with the Sun Belt tournament, and just really, really immerse myself within that community and get to know some wonderful people and make some great connections. So I was already kind of working for a school then. And so it was really exciting because after I did my stint at 5 News, I went over to Fayetteville and was there for 2 years. In my job there, I was a digital sales assistant. So that's where a lot of my advertising skills came from. My former boss, Miss Sarah Philpott, was amazing. I have never seen someone be so worldly and understanding of advertising. So it was a great opportunity to learn from like the guru. And with that, I learned a lot about ad messenger and digital ads, and then was able to apply it to my job now. And outside of that, I was the on-air talent, and I had 2 gigs. It was so much fun. People ask me all the time, why did you leave that? I did food features, so I got to eat food. And then I also did what was called Adventure Arkansas. So I found adventures all throughout Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. So they'd say, hey, go ziplining or go kayaking. And so I got to do that. And it was just such a fun experience. And so I have a great video background. And I applied for the job over at the Batesville School District because I wanted to move back home. I'm 15 minutes down the road from where I graduated and 30 minutes from where I grew up. So I get to be around all of my family and my support system. And my husband and I are just so excited to be back within our community. And we're really flourishing. And my job is just so awesome. I never knew how rewarding it was to work with little ones. It is just so much fun. And they're so excited whenever they see me. They always know that there's going to be a camera involved or pictures, or they're always saying, oh, it's the picture lady. So it makes it really fun for me because I have an opportunity to get to work with a bunch of my friends and community leaders' children. So it's a great opportunity to get to know them really well and just to get to share our school district story. We're the pioneers, and we've had an opportunity to pioneer a lot of things here within the last several years. Outside of solar, we've had some great first-time school district success within our athletics and our scholastics. So I'm just really getting the front seat to a great ride for that.
Yeah, that is incredible. So you've got a great job now, but oh my gosh, you got to eat and go on adventures. And you were right at home with all of this. Then right now we always broadcast these podcast episodes on YouTube as well. So Megan and I are looking at each other. You can check that out on my YouTube channel. But okay, I need to have a video link, Megan, of you and one of your best adventures or food interviews to include in the show notes. Can you do that for me?
I can totally do that. They're actually still on the website over on 5 News, so I can grab a couple links for my favorite places. It'll just be really hard to decide what to share from each of those because there was so much good food and so many fun things to do.
Yeah, it would be really fun. Did you ever fall out of a kayak or something like that?
Oh yeah, I played boat ball, and it's basically like soccer inside of a kayak that you use your hands, I guess. You know what I'm saying? It was really fun. There's like goals, and you kayak and you hit the ball and throw the ball to one another. Yeah, definitely flipped. Have gone over the handlebars of a bicycle during a couple of things. I love the outdoors, but I'm also left-handed, and that front brake is on the left side, in case you're wondering.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Who knew it could be? I'd say your job probably now is a little safer than that one then.
Yeah, just a little safer. Yeah. And I'm insured,
Right.
So
Oh, so tell me a little bit more about Batesville, like the size of your school district, the size of your communications office.
yeah, absolutely. So we have 3,400 students from pre-K through 12th grade. We've got 7 campuses. We have our preschool, which also is infant and toddler care. We have 3 elementary campuses, which are our Eagle Mountain, Sulphur Rock, and West Elementary. Then we have our junior high and our high school. Our high school is now a charter, and our junior high is currently in the process of converting over to a charter. So we're really excited about those pathway opportunities, and it gives us an opportunity to tap in some of those state funds so that we can expand those pathways for better educational opportunities for our students. As far as the last campus, it's called WRA, it's White River Academy, and that's an alternative learning environment for the students who maybe just need some more one-on-one time so they have a better educational experience. And we're not a large school district, our ratios are actually really small, but it gives them a better one-on-one opportunity to sit with someone and maybe have a less distracting environment.
Yeah. What was the enrollment number again, K through 12?
3,400 is what we're sitting at.
Okay. And then your communications department, it used to be just you. And when did you start?
So I started in 2018, August of 2018. And then it's actually really cool. My first year here, they also had an internship program called E3. And that internship program gave me an opportunity to get an intern. And she was a senior, and now she's my assistant. So it's just so fun because I had her whenever she was here her senior year, and then she went off to college. And with COVID and everything, she's moved home and she's pursuing her degree online. So she's actually signed a full-time contract. And so I'm just so thrilled to have her. She's so skilled, and she has an art background. So her design is just through the roof. So I learn from her just as much as she learns from me. And I think that's the type of mindset that we have to have. And after COVID and we did a bond issue, I just talked to my boss and I said, hey, like, I think we have some really great opportunities for growth. And I can see, what's bogging my time down. And I know that if I had someone to assist me, we can really just explode within our school district zone. And so he said, I trust your judgment. I think that Abigail will be fantastic. And so he just kind of, I think what's great about my boss is that he really listens to what my experiences are at work. And I have that freedom for creative liberty, and he trusted that, and now he's like, man, like, that was worth it. So he's really, really getting to see the proof in the pudding.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to meet Abigail as well. She's doing amazing things there. What a full circle story of,
Yeah.
and that's what I always say, like these student interns, they kind of realize that this is an opportunity. They're going to be our future school communicators. So with the help of Abigail, you do social media for your school district. What channels are you guys responsible for?
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, we're on Facebook, Instagram. We actually participated in one of your challenges here recently. We also have Twitter. We have our YouTube channel, which is some of our streaming. We do a Pinterest, which we utilize a lot for during COVID. We kind of turned to Pinterest for craft ideas for parents or at-home lessons. We also have literacy resources on there. We have some software safety for parents. We've got some little food and, fun treats. So it was a great way to kind of push out in a light way for people to follow us on that platform. And then the latest thing that we've started doing is a podcast ourselves. So we have a sponsorship at a local radio station from one of our banks called the Pioneer Updates. And it was airing in the morning. We do Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and we rotate our department heads on Mondays. On Wednesdays, we do our high school and junior high rotate. And then on Fridays, we do our elementary and our preschools, and they take turns. And then after they aired, they were dying. Like, it never aired again. It wasn't going on a website anywhere. And so I contacted the radio station and I said, hey, I want to start a podcast and I want y'all to be, the source for that. So if you can send me those files afterward, then I'll have 3 days a week of content to where that we can just keep it fun and light. And then I just have links, of that audio file over on our RSS feed. And then it also floats over to our Spotify. It automatically is linked, and we have an embed code on our website. And so everything automatically updates on its own. And then I just post it to our social media channels, and they get so many views. It's incredible. I think we've had over 58,000 views, or listens, I guess is what it would be, downloads on our RSS feed so far. And that's so great because they're just little 2 to 5 minute audio clips of students talking about what's going on their campuses, or our counselors talking about, hey parents, this is an event that you're going to want to hear about. Or it might be an administrative update about, summer meals and our summer school programs and our camps that we have available. So it's just been a great way to give that an afterlife after it airs on the radio. And I mean, outside of the monthly fee, it's not really costing us anything. It just takes a little bit of time and effort. Abigail and I come up with a fun little cover photo with either the students or something about whoever's speaking, and then we release those details. So it's really been great for us.
It's aggressive with doing 3 times a week, but you're not recreating the wheel. You're using something that you were already doing.
Exactly.
And then you're putting it out there in a different way, like you said, to give it longer life. I know that a lot of listeners are perking up because they're just like, oh my gosh, we do, radio interviews, regular radio spots. So just with a little bit of creativity, a little bit of effort, just really maximizing that. I love it. So we'll make sure that we link to that. Do you have a page on your website that kind of has all of them?
Yes, absolutely. I've got all of them linked, so y'all are welcome to check those out. And the other thing, so here's the most important thing for those that are listening: don't give up, because our success with that did not happen overnight, and it didn't happen after 3 months. It happened about 6 or 7 months. It was just like, boom, everybody started paying attention and everybody started listening. So don't give up whenever you don't get initial feedback from that, because now we have a great following and we have downloads every single time, but it doesn't happen overnight. And I know that can be a little bit concerning, but there was no like fall for us. There was no investment necessarily other than that $12 a month. And so I just told Dr. Hester, like, hey, I really want to try this out. I think it would be successful. And now that we have that following, I started a new podcast with our school-based mental health counselors, and it's a mental health podcast. So we already have the audience, and now we're just going to continue to build on that. And we're going to do once or twice a month a podcast starting in August, and it'll be focused around mental health and, how that varies at different age levels, something that parents can listen to, but also resources that we can constantly be pushing out for our students, because sometimes kids just need a way that they naturally want to listen to things instead of seeing something on social media. So we're trying to hit all of our avenues, and so that we make sure those resources are appropriately provided for everybody.
Yeah, I love it. And I love your advice of not giving up. I mean, so
Yeah.
often I'm suggesting things like Throwback Thursdays, pictures of your old
Mhm.
yearbooks, and people be like, I tried that a couple of weeks and it didn't work. And it's like, you have to give it consistently for probably that 6 month
Yeah.
period to see if it really catches on. And I do believe that folks are listening. I love that, that podcast you started out with 2 to 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Very easy. So I love this. So I'm going to jump ahead, Megan, because when I spoke with you, you've got a lot of great stories. You've ended up going viral and been on Kelly Clarkson, right?
Yes. Kelly Clarkson Show. Yeah.
So that's another story, but we'll get to that, everybody. So if you want to hear about Megan with Kelly Clarkson Show, stay tuned. But I specifically wanted to interview you on this podcast because of your unique experience with the digital sales side
Mhm.
and trying to help out your school of getting, some marketing, some sales out there. So I just explain what really digital sales is and how you're using that at your school. And then I'm sure I'm going to have more questions.
Sure, absolutely. So whenever I worked in digital sales, several of the things that we did for our clients was help to create and populate a digital ad plan. And those are like those little pop-ups that you see whenever you're scrolling while you're shopping, or what you see the icons on the right and left side of your panel. They're also located at the top of your browsers. So my job, I used to sell those and also help to keep those current. And we would change out the artwork, we would schedule the traffic of how many dates that they wanted those to run. And then I also did ad messenger. Ad messenger is a geofencing ad that displays on people's device while they're on the internet. And geofencing is basically a zone that's like a giant bubble. So whenever I do our school choice advertising, which in Arkansas, that's a thing, I advertise from January till May 1st. And so whenever I'm doing the ad messenger, I shoot in-house. We do our own commercials and our own videos and stuff. So whenever I shoot one of those commercials, it says, Batesville School District would like to invite you to join Pioneer Nation. Find out more here. And they can click on that ad. When they click on it, it pops up our school choice ad video, and it's got our students featured. It has our great teachers. It has all of our leaders within our school district that are just bright faces, heavily involved. And we really just share kind of, a little bit of information about our school district. And then we have a link to our school choice form. So it's that easy to where people can just click straight on that. Now, the way that we do our geofencing, okay, this is like a secret, okay?
We're getting lots
Telling
of
everyone.
Megan.
So one of the things that I do is I actually put geofencing bubbles around the surrounding school districts. So if you're at a ball game at another school, or if someone is at a different game at a different school, they will be receiving ads from our school district if they're on their phone checking the scores and looking at stats and things like that. So it's literally going to populate about a neighboring school district, and you might learn something you didn't know about us. So it's very strategic. And whenever we're thinking about our target audience, we're thinking about those moms. So I have a bubble around Hobby Lobby, TJ Maxx, Walmart, Kroger, Harps, all of those places that our parents go, or specifically our moms go and shop. That's where I have those ads geofenced to.
Okay, so if I am shopping at Hobby Lobby in your community and I'm looking at my phone trying to find my Hobby Lobby coupon, because that's really important, I might all of a sudden see an ad pop up for Batesville School District,
Right.
because you have done that geofencing.
That's exactly right.
Okay. So all of that. Okay. So all this sounds a little complicated for me.
Uh-huh.
And it also sounds expensive. So talk me through a little bit of the logistics. I mean, is it fairly easy to figure this out? And if somebody were to start, how would they even get started with this?
Right. So the most important thing with that process is having a good advertising partner. And there's a couple of ways that you can get started with that. Generally, your local cable company or TV station will offer this in their digital sales department. So what you need to ask for is ad messenger is what it's called. And generally, they will say that you need to have like a campaign with 10,000 ads, for instance, depending upon the size of your area. And so I've got a couple stats for you from the success of ours. And so we ran an ad campaign with like 20,000 impressions, which means it ran 20,000 times in our area. We have a population of 10,000, for instance. Not all of those are males, most of them are females. So that means that whether they were incoming or outgoing, currently enrolled, or within those bubbles of our surrounding addresses that I had mentioned, we had 23,700 impressions delivered. So that means that message was received 23,700 times. And then the click-through rate, so there was 300 minutes or 3,000 minutes viewed of that video. And then the click-through rate was 0.94%. Most of the time, and I know that that seems kind of like a confusing number, most of the time the click-through rate, meaning people actually clicked the button and pursued it's for it to be interesting and something that they wanted to learn about, it's normally 0.4 to 0.7, and ours was 0.9. So we were way up. Our digital sales advertiser was like, y'all are doing so awesome, people are loving your content. So that was really good for us. And that's where we wanted it to be. Like whenever I came here, they were like, we need something creative, we need something new. And I said, I have got the ticket for you because I've sold this. I understand the process. I know how effective that it is, and I know what places that we can target. And whenever I explained it to my boss, he was like, okay, let's just see how this goes. My advertiser that we did it with, Sudden Link is who we utilize, was like, I've never had something perform this well before. And I think it's because the students are involved. Like, I truly believe it's because you're seeing those faces. So to couple it with that, I did two things. Our school choice also falls within March Madness, right? So on Sudden Link, I had it to where that commercial was running during the March Madness games. And U of A, our Razorbacks, go Hogs, they killed it this year and did so well. So the further they made it through the tournament, the more that you were seeing our local commercial. So that meant that I was playing off of two audiences, our Hogs audience and our school district audience. So when you tie both of those together, that commercial was going to play through that tournament no matter what. But when we had local buy-in and a reason for our viewers to watch, they were seeing our commercials. I got so many texts and so many calls of people saying, oh my gosh, that is the coolest thing ever. We're on an NCAA tournament and we're seeing our kids in the middle of that. This is getting such a huge audience. And it was $250. $250 for us to run it during that. Now, will that price be the same everywhere across the entire country? I don't know that, but our Sudden Link, that's how much it costs for us to run those commercials. With that, I also ran it on HGTV. I ran it on the Food Network, things that our moms like to watch. I ran it on the local news, just different things like that so that we can mix it up and have a good platform.
Okay, so I got a question for you.
Yes.
So earlier we were talking about ads that were popping up on like web browser things. So now you're talking about ads that actually show up when somebody's watching a
On
TV show. And that's why you'd partner with your cable or your local TV stations, because they can help do that. Now, normally when I'm thinking about ads, Megan, of course, I'm thinking of the biggest game of the year, which is a Super Bowl, which companies pay millions and millions of dollars for 30 seconds. You're telling me to run those ads all through like March Madness. It only costs the school $250.
It was $250. Yeah. And it's like I said, that varies, but our Sudden Link, it's a smaller association. of that branch. And so we were able to get a really good rate on it as well. And then the audience is great. Like the audience of who was viewing it, it's not just within our school district, it's a very large zone. And so there was lots of what's called household. And so the household was a really large number. I think it was like 20 or 30,000 is what was able to see that. So if you were watching the games, every single transition in between those games, our commercial ran. So it was a great opportunity for there to be lots of eyes that saw it. So we had the TV view, we had the phone, and then we also did what's called over the top, OTT. And then that is during the streaming services. So if someone during that time, I just did it for like a month period, is streaming on, like Hulu or any of those type of platforms, and there's an ad space, our commercial would run during those ad times as well. So then if people, because I'm a streaming household, we don't have cable. So right. That's what we use. And I feel like more people are like that than cable anyways. So I just kind of tried to cover all of our bases and have it. So the total package amount was, I think, a little bit less than $1,000 for that entire school choice campaign for us, for that entire course of January to May. I just kind of sprinkled things throughout, and it was effective for us. We had lots of views. I had great feedback, but most importantly is it's constantly telling our story and letting people learn something that they might not know about our school district. And regardless of whether or not we retained new people, we were pushing out when that deadline is. So as we had new people moving in, because our industry around here within the Batesville area is booming. Like we've got several industries that are expanding. We've got some new ones opening up. So we're going to have lots of new people moving to the area. So just constantly making sure that that deadline is aware of when it is the most important thing for us, because if they miss it, they miss it. And then, the deadline's passed.
Right. So what have you seen? Have you seen an influx in those applications that have been coming in so that they can enroll at your school district?
We have seen a slight influx. We always have incoming and outgoing, of course, but what I think the important thing is whenever we get the new people in, we ask them, hey, how did you hear about us? And they said, oh, we saw this or we saw that, and that's what's really exciting, because then we know that things are working. And I mean, regardless of us educating students and that being what it is, I'm on the business side of things, and we are a business, and for every student, there's money attached to that to make sure that we can pay the bills. And for every student we attract and retain, that's $7,000 to make sure that, Miss Susie gets a paycheck. So it's very important that we do that. And if it takes $1,000 each year for me to make sure that that information is out there and available in a fun and creative way to also tell our story and to get people talking about it, because the thing is, they're talking about it no matter what. And it's instilling pride for our people to know, like, hey, like our school district is doing something very fun and creative, and our kids are the center face of that. And then it's seen in a very unique way. It gets people talking about it, whether you're on our team or you're not on our team.
Yeah. And what a huge payback. I mean, if you got one family, which is usually 2 kids, that's 14x on that $1,000 investment that you ran for basically 4 months. And it was content that you were going to probably create anyways. I mean, you probably shared those ads in other ways as well. Yeah. Could you share like that video that you were talking about, just so that our folks can see what kind of example that you have? Very, very kid focused and a little bit of information. I think that'll be so helpful. I could probably go on and on about this, but something that you definitely should check out. So again, if folks listening are interested in just knowing, there's probably an expert at your local cable or TV news station to be able to talk about the ad messenger. And then what about what's the TV ads called? Is that called something else?
It's just commercials. Yeah,
okay.
It's just commercials. And there's usually 3 options for commercials. There's something called bookends, which is 15-second spots, and they play at the beginning of a set of commercials and the end. And it can just, in 15 seconds, Batesville School District deadline set for May 1st, join Pioneer Nation, boom. And it'll just be that. And at the end of the commercial set, it'll say the same thing. And that's called a bookend for the beginning and the end. There's also 30-second spots. And then there's 1 minute spots as well. And the price will fluctuate depending upon how long that commercial is. We have a minute long commercial that's been extremely successful for us. I don't care to spend the extra money because it gives our students more face time. And I'll give you one more tip about what we do for running this too. We have an amazing partnership with our local movie theater. So before every single movie that airs, we have our commercial running in that too. So that means when kids go, and it's all kid-friendly movies, everything that they run there is all about family orientation. So that's our target audience. So we run our commercial spots there too. When it's not school choice, I run baseball hype videos. I run teacher appreciation is what's currently running there. So I just have 1 minute and or 30-second little commercials that I run at that, and they run year round. So whether it's school choice or not, we have something with our students' faces and our teachers, and something to get people excited about baseball season. So it's just a great opportunity to have that target audience right there.
Yeah. And thank goodness we can go to the movies again now. So my question is, how much are you paying for the movie theater?
So that's $90 a month.
Okay.
Is how much that we pay. And of course, every single time that there's a showtime, they are opened at our location Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And then they've got, I think, 2 show times, and then maybe a matinee on Saturdays and Sundays, where there's one in the afternoon. So, I mean, at least 5 or 6 times a week, our commercial is running. And, a lot of times people don't get there 20 minutes before, how there's like 20 minutes of commercials. So I just said, hey, where are we in the lineup? I was very transparent and just asked, and they said, oh, we've got you like 6 minutes before. And I was like, well, as we get close to the deadline for school choice, can we bump that closer to the front? Because not as many, not everyone gets there right before the movie comes on, or some people get there right before the movie comes on. They're like, yeah, sure. So sometimes just having those good partnerships with your local businesses will take you miles, because we didn't have to pay extra for it to be moved up. They have 3 kids in our school district, and they want us to be successful. And that's what it's all about, is making those partnerships so that when you have these things come up, you can have that open communication and just have that relationship to take that leap.
So that's awesome. So if you were looking at trying to get into some of this advertising, I would say you'd be able to do a whole bunch with like $2,500 or less.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
So
really could.
yeah. So just guys, it's summer. You're listening to this, you're making plans. It's probably already past your maybe budget season, but remembering Megan's thing of hey, one family or one student is $7,000. I mean, you can start playing around with this and make a big impact. So yeah, we'll get some of the video options that Megan's talking about in the show notes, so you guys can take a look at that. But I really think this is important. Yes, social media is important because a lot of that can be free, but there are some really unique ways and very cost effective to get the word out there, to talk about your school pride. I mean, even when we talk about attracting, families is one thing, but retaining them is another. And so there is competition out there in many of our school districts. And even if they don't have open enrollment, and we do here in Wisconsin and Minnesota, I know they obviously have it in Arkansas, but there is competition everywhere because parents are looking for options. So I just love all of this expertise that you bring. And I'm sure, Megan, you're probably going to get people are like, will you move to our school district and you can just come over? So you might be headhunted now, but
yeah. Or I'm just sharing this information and I want everyone to be successful at their school too, because I'm really happy where I'm at.
Okay. Yeah. Well, she's not for sale, guys. She's not for sale. You cannot have
an assistant.
Yeah. So we've already gotten to talk for quite a while, but I do want to get to the Kelly Clarkson story. Yeah. So you guys kind of went national, and your friend Brian Bridges, he was just actually awarded one of my social media awards for his story about Andy and his basketball 3-point shooting. But you went viral a few years ago. Just tell me a little bit about that story, and we'll definitely link to one of the best social media posts maybe that we could share about that.
Sure, absolutely. So, whenever I first started in August of 2018, the board had just invested $5 million in solar panels. So, we were trying to reduce our footprint. We did an energy audit, and integrity is our partner. That's the most important thing, is having a good energy partner. And they said, I think that we can reduce your cost. And so the entire plan stemmed from our strategic goals within our school district, which is attract and retain. We want to have good staff, we want to have good partnerships, and we wanted to reduce our footprint and have innovation. So with all of that being said, it was such a circle with having these solar panels, because we needed the partnerships to get started. We needed to be able to pay our teachers more in order to attract and retain students. And so all of it worked hand in hand. And with that, once we got these solar panels up, we were able, as of to date, we have poured $5.5 million into teacher salaries. So all of that money came from what we saved from reducing our footprint. We have consolidated a couple campuses. We have, attrition work, as people retire, we have not filled those positions, and we have taken, those Spitfires and given them new roles and stuff so that they can go on and be leaders within our school district. And all of it has worked out so nicely, because it was an investment in our teachers. It was more than just saving energy, but at the same time, it's bigger than all of us, if that makes sense. But it was so cool to be able to be a part of getting to, push that story out, because me sitting here in the middle of this giant story as a former reporter and stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, if this doesn't go viral, I don't know what will. I was just like, what do I need to do to get this pushed out? So from the beginning, I think the most important tip that I can give y'all is take the news to the news. Make sure that you're telling them that story from the very beginning and let them in ground floor, because if they come in midway into it, there's not as much of a buy-in. But if you're like, hey, this is huge, we're going to be pouring money into teacher salaries, we're getting 1,836 solar panels, we're going to be, putting it on this plot. There's going to be curriculum that goes along with it. We're going to be getting bees for horticulture to expand our FFA. The students are going to be learning about it. The teachers are going to be getting paid more. This is awesome. They were like, whoa, we don't even know where to start with this, and that's what you want, is someone that's really, really excited to help you share your story. And so it happened in stages. They came whenever the installation process was happening. They came when we finally turned it on. They came when we took our first raises. So it just kind of built from a local story level, and then it got picked up by a big newspaper company, and then it got picked up by a big podcast, and then it got picked up by a big article that was pushed out all over the place. And then the Yale Climate picked us up. And then I got the email. And it was so funny, because my boss, he didn't even know who Kelly Clarkson was.
What?
And he literally forwarded me the email and said, hey, can you take care of this? And I literally was hyperventilating as sitting at my desk, because I was like, the Kelly Clarkson Show, what's happening? And I called the producer. He was British. It was amazing. I was like, hello, it makes you want to talk how they are almost. And he was like, we love your story. Kelly wants to have it featured in her show. COVID was going on, I think it was maybe November of 2019 or 2020.
2020, probably,
yeah,
if COVID was going on. Yep.
Yeah, 2020, yeah. And so my very, very dear friend, Miss Jeannie Repke, she's actually since passed because of cancer. So that's why it's so special to me too, is we got to spend so much time together for all the national news coverage we did, because whenever I was thinking about how I wanted to tell our story and why it was so important, it all came back to a teacher. So it delve into people's finances, that's a private thing. And so we had to, kind of talk to some of our teachers and ask who wanted to share that story of how it's impacted their life. And my very dear friend, Miss Jeannie Repke, who'd been a teacher for 25 years, was like, I want to do this. Like, she went to Batesville school. She got her teaching degree. She'd been here all 25 years with us. She lived and breathed taking care of students. And she was like, I want to give back in some way to the school district that made me who I am. So she told her story and the way that it impacted her and what it was like having the school district invest in their futures and invest in, you know, them as teachers and why that was so important to her. And so I think that that was the most important thing. And what made the story what it was is find where the impact was and telling that story, because we can sit here and talk about how good it is for the planet all day long, but if there's not a personal or an emotional tie, that story is nothing. So I felt like tapping into that was really what helped that story explode. And whenever we worked with the Kelly Clarkson Show, Kelly Clarkson said, oh my gosh, I wish I could have had a teacher like her. And it's everyone says that. Every single person that knew her adored that woman. And if you got to pass through her classroom, you were a better person and you're doing great things today. So, and I feel like that's the goal as being a teacher, right? That's what we hope to do and what we hope to do for every kid that passes through our classroom. And that's what I'm selling. At the end of the day, I'm selling stories and I'm selling, you know, like our teachers being good people and making a difference in our kids' lives, because now we have a whole bunch of them running around inside of our community making a difference. And they might not be teachers, but they are making a difference inside of our community because they went through her classroom. And I really, really hope, and I know that we have other teachers that are just like that within our school district, but it's people like her that make a difference for the futures of our students and our future leaders.
And it's why you love your job.
It's
right?
why I love my job, because it's my job to tell those stories.
Yeah, what a blessing and what a great story. So I've got to get the clip for the Kelly Clarkson show then, and
yes.
people will be able to Google every other things, but that's just amazing. You know, saving energy, giving that money back to teachers, which then helps, you know, get students, and it all ties into education, smaller footprint and all of that. Megan, I think we could talk for hours and hours, and people,
Probably.
maybe I just have to have you back at another show as well, because I think we could talk even more. But as we kind of wrap up, what is the best social media tip that you would want to share with everybody?
Okay, so the best social media tip that I could share with anyone is to invite people to like your page. So it's very, very easy. Whenever you have your social media pulled up, I can go to a recent post. We had our preschool graduation. We did a honk and wave parade. So it gave the kids an opportunity to drive through and everyone was lined up. And so where you get your reactions, there's a number that pops up of how many people have reacted to it. And if you click on that, there's an option to invite people who haven't liked your page. So just right here, I can see 6 people who have visited probably our page for the first time, because that's that preschool group that might not visit the school district page as much. So I'm actually just going through here and I'm inviting them to like our page. Whenever I got here, we had around 3,000 followers on our school district page. We now have over 8,512 people that have liked, and 9,454 people that are following our page. So just by doing that simple task of inviting people and being consistent, I go and I check every single post, and I don't do it immediately. I usually wait and revisit those a week or two later once I think that all the traction has gone through. But it's very, very important that you do that, because you're establishing that connection with them and making sure you're like, hey, if you like our content, please come back and visit and learn more. And that's how you get people to come back and share your information. So that's my biggest tip on social media.
Yeah, and it will help your pages climb. The person gets a little notification. Just as an advanced hack, if you have Business Suite on your phone, there's actually an option. I now have an Explore tab, but it puts all those people together.
Mm-hmm.
And you only want to invite like 6 or 7 at a time, because if you try to invite 30 people at a time, it'll stall out and it doesn't work. But Facebook sometimes is trying to make our life easier. And sometimes, you know, it's can be really quirky and not work.
Sure.
But I love that tip. I had gotten that years ago from a school that said, hey, we were kind of stagnant, and it's giving those folks a nudge that have interacted with your stuff. It's not like inviting all your personal friends. No, you're inviting people that have already interacted with your page in some positive way. you're just kind of inviting them in. And that's amazing stats. From when you started in 2018, only 3,000 followers. Now you're over 8,000 followers.
Yeah.
Oh, great work, Megan. So people are going to want to be friends with you now. So what's the best way to stay connected to you?
Absolutely. So I am more than happy, first of all, to share my email, because for those who have questions, I want to help you because I don't know everything. I just know a little bit about some things. And I know that as I listen to your podcast, I'm learning things as well. So I want to be a resource to people. I want for people to feel like they can reach out to me and so I can help them. We're coming up on summer. I have a lot of planning to do. I hope that some of the things that you've learned today, you're making some notes on, and I can help you with that stuff and shoot some information over, and definitely use her podcast as a resource because I'm going to be providing a lot of those links to her. But if someone needs some extra help, I want to provide my email. It's mrenihan, REN as in North, IHAN at gobsd1.org. Or if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, I will share my Twitter handle with you. I'm not super active on there because I manage 7 accounts for social media at work, but my handle is at Megan_Grady, GRAD as in dog, D as in dog, Y. And I'm more than happy to connect with you. I hope that you found this information helpful and useful. And maybe if you have some tips to help elevate me, I hope that you would share them with what you've learned today.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we'll link also your Twitter handle and your email address. If you didn't write that down, it'll be in the show notes, along with a bunch of these examples. Follow Batesville, Arkansas's pages. Check out what they're doing. Breathe in deep. You do not have to do all of this at once. Maybe you're able to take a tip or two from Megan and implement it. And all of a sudden, after a year or so, you're going to have a lot of great things going. And then you're going to contact me to be on the podcast and say, well, I was listening back in 2022 when Megan said she was on the Kelly Clarkson Show. And now we have been on. No, it is a good goal, though. I just think like I would be a really good friend to Kelly Clarkson, right?
I know.
So
that's what I said.
she's so cool.
She's so cool.
Megan, thank you so much for sharing all of your information. Thank you for being a resource for these folks. Thanks for your excitement and what you give to this profession. It's amazing. You are a gift. You also know really well how to shine it back on the people that need it the most in regards to celebrating your school, which are your students and your staff members. And so, so many great tips today. Thanks for hanging out with me.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been such a great opportunity to just share our story again of our success. And I feel like I'm a behind the curtain person, like I feel like that's what everyone in the communication world is. We make all this stuff happen behind the scenes, but I love just getting to sit back and go, we had a small part in that. We had a small part in that success and getting to share those stories. So thank you for the opportunity again. And I can't wait to see what everyone does with this information.
Yes, keep us posted, guys. And then join us again next week. We'll have a great episode. We're here every Monday. And remember, you can go back and listen to past episodes. There's a lot of great things to learn. So we'll see you next time. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you for having me.